Hey, gentlemen, how are you doing?
Good day, afternoon.
Good
Are you
afternoon.
good? I'm good. We good. We good.
I'm good. How did you first get started with the breed, man?
I think we can start with Barry, just by introducing ourselves, and if that's okay, and mentioning and presenting how Pioneer Boerboel started and that.
Okay, no problem. I basically started my first Boerboel, purchased from Lowell in February. That was about 16, 17 years ago. After that, I bought my second Boerboel, drove crazy 9 hours to California, purchasing my first Boerboel. That was, I think that pup was about 9, 10 weeks old. Took that pup to his first show. Pup was 3.5 months old. I think it was the Libasa show that time. And that pup actually won pup of the day. Was between the age of 3 months and 12 months old. I basically went on showing, learning, asking questions, getting a mentor. I had a few mentors. That was the owner of Boerboels and Jan of the later Boerboels. I actually attended a few shows where I actually saw the later Carter showing. And for the way that dog basically moved, it gave me goosebumps. It seriously gave me goosebumps. Because he was a dog like not running on the grass, he was running on the air.
Whoa.
He was running on air, and the dog was like floating. It was floating like a butterfly. And that actually brought me closer to the lateral lines. I was a handler, or maybe just an enthusiast, for probably about 7 years, and attending seminars, breeding seminars, fertility seminars, movement seminars. It actually broadened up my mind a bit, and with also already with the knowledge that I know of what the mentors gave me, what to look out for, what to do in a situation of X, Y, and Z. And after the 7, 8 years, I basically started Pioneer Boerboels. I bought the lateral Abby, and she was one of the offspring of the lateral Cardo. And it just went from there. It went from better to better. I was showing, I was breeding, but not breeding as what the normal breeders do, 5, 6 litters a year. That was not me. The breed is not always just about the money. It's never about the money. It's about the breed. If you put the breed first, put your money last, then you know what to do.
If you put the breed first and your money last, you'll get magic.
You'll get magic. You'll get the magic sticks. Yeah, and until today, it is still a learning curve. It is still a learning curve. You can never say no. You can never say no too much, or you can never say you know everything. As I told Elton a few years ago as well, the Boerboel breed is one of the most difficult breeds to breed. It is not just putting a dog together. You're going to actually you're going to walk against a brick wall. You need to know what you are doing. But as the advice that we actually give guys as well, learn to know the breed before doing anything else. Don't just take it hands, closed eyes, and think you're going to be a champion at the end of the day. It never works that way. And the thing that you actually always need to understand, if it's not your time, it's not your time. It's all on God's time.
Oh, that's amazing advice, man. That is we see that Elton really has an amazing mentor in you, eh?
Thank you, man.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, so my journey with Pioneer Boerboel started in the year 2021. But however, before that, my first Boerboel I purchased in 2018, if I remember correctly, 2018 or 2017. And it basically happened when I purchased my second property in the area that I live in, but it was a vacant land, and vandalism, but it's a big thing in my area, and I needed to purchase a guard dog, and I was Googling and doing some research, and I came across the Boerboel, and I thought, listen, let me get a Boerboel. Started Googling some and Facebooking and searching for some kennels that I can purchase a Boerboel from, or specifically a guard dog, and I came across Walls Boerboels. It's a guy, Cleo Walls, out in Goodwood, and I purchased my first Boerboel. She's still with me. She's still alive today. Just very old, but still in great condition, And she basically lived with me on the property. I lived in some sort of caravan before I started building my house out of the ground, basically. And she basically guarded that property with her heart, and also protecting me throughout the process. So that is how my journey started with Boerboels. And then fast forward to 2021 was when I thought to myself, hey, let me start breeding this Boerboel that I've got, this Walls Boerboel. And then I started breeding, and then I came across meeting Barry, and I thought, hey, let me attend shows and let me go and watch shows, And I thought to myself, and I looked up to guys like Idris Mokadam. These guys were into showing, they would have like 10, 12, 20, 30 Boerboels at the show, and I would just be like a spectator. And I looked up to guys like Wesley Lucas from Royal Crescent Boerboels, who is an exceptional showman. And I looked up to them, but at the back of my mind, I thought to myself, hey, is this what you guys are doing, And I thought to myself, hey, I think I've got what it takes to beat these guys, man, And I've beat a couple of them, if I think back. But take nothing away from them, They are the ones that I basically look up to, And they are also my competition in the game today. So yeah, that's basically how my journey with Boerboels and Pioneer Boerboel specifically started. So yeah.
Yeah, can you just walk us through the process of you deciding what dogs to breed and why not to breed them?
Okay, so yeah, I've been taught, been mentored by Barry Lategan, founder of Pioneer Boerboels, and I was basically taught to, before selecting a certain male or a stud male that you want to use over your female, it's basically to look at the stud itself, look at the dog itself, before you decide to use him, and see if he complements your female. You understand? It doesn't matter if he's got 50 titles next to his name. It doesn't matter if he's the double grand champion male of 2016 and 2017, The male needs to complement your female, So that is one thing we look at, and I would say 90% of us we look at, or between myself and Barry, 90% of us we look at the male itself. You understand? Before we look at the pedigree. So this is a 10% part of us when we request and ask, listen, can we see the pedigree of this dog? Who's the mother? Who's the father? How is the dog bred? And that's when we look at certain lines who would be known for breeding. For example, small heads. You know. Some of the lines would be breeding, for example, prolapse, you understand, or bad eyes, or bad top lines,
Okay.
That's when we look at the pedigree. But the other 90% of us, we look at the dog itself and we'd see and check if this dog complements our female, you understand. In today's game, some people would approach me and say that, listen, I bought this dog, this puppy, 8-week-old puppy, and this male is going to cover 6 of my females, you understand? To me personally, it doesn't make sense, you understand? Because how do you know that this male is going to turn out to complement your females? You understand? I'm not sure if it makes sense, you understand?
It makes sense.
So to me, the dog needs to develop, and when the dog is of age, for example, at the age of plus minus 2 years old, now you're able to see, listen, I think this male needs to complement my females. So those are one of the things that we strive towards, you understand? For example, Pioneer Magic, the international world champion of 2025, there's no plans to even use him in our kennel, not because he's a bad dog, he's the world champion, but does he complement our females that we already have? If it doesn't complement our females, we are not going to use him. You understand? And I hope that's some breeders, young up-and-coming breeders, or even old breeders, maybe they can learn from it, and it really comes from a point of humbleness and not, being cocky, and that's the way we decide on breeding. And also, we are not the type of breeders that are striving towards breeding generations of Pioneer Boerboels over a Pioneer Boerboel. That is not what we strive towards, okay? Because sometimes you need to be okay with going outside, approaching another guy or another kennel, requesting them to use their male to cover our females. But obviously, like I said, the male needs to complement our females. And this is a message to breeders out there. It's okay to contact your brother or your sister and requesting them to use one of their studs. You understand? It's not just about breeding generations of dogs that you bred. You understand? It's okay to approach someone else, and I believe that is one way of bettering the breed. So,
that's very good advice.
What I can also add on there, a word of advice, and this is what I will give to anybody. Never ever be kennel blind. Never be kennel blind. Because if you think your dog is the best, you're sitting the pot, miss. Because there's always a dog that is going to be bred, or always up and coming stud or female that is going to beat you at the end of the day. And like Elton, like the information I gave Elton, I was also taught, you break up the dog here in front of you. You keep your hands like this, you break up the dog piece for piece, and that dog actually needs to complement either the male or the female. But if you look in today's Boerboel game, you see some of the old breeders, you see some of the young breeders. It is basically, no, this is this line and that is that line. We've got a champion on our hands. It's not that way. Not that way. If they can take off the blinkers, they can see the broader picture. Like if you haven't got the balls or the guts to go to another kennel and put your pride in your pocket, leave the game.
Oh, that's amazing. You know what? That's amazing advice, man. Very.
Yeah, because for us is like they say Western Cape is like a smarty town. Why is it a smarty town? Everything is in the Western Cape. Everything is in the Western Cape. But the guys that are scared to ask their own brothers and sisters in the Western Cape they can use, because the guys mustn't cause animosity between each other. If I see Elton shining, I need to compliment it.
Of course. That's very good advice, Barry.
Yeah, you shouldn't actually break the guy down, because that guy actually needs to be a mirror for you. You want to go into that same direction, or you want to see yourself as the Elton Daniels, not break the guy down. And for me, is if it, like Elton also said, humble. Be very, very humble. If somebody talks about somebody, walk away. If it's speak good about somebody, stay there. Lifting each other up.
You know, Barry, that's very good advice, even in life. I think not just with dogs, but I think even in life, that is very good advice. I see that Elton really found a true mentor in you, and not just the dog things, but even life-wise. So now tell me, guys, when you guys have gone through that process of choosing the male or that complements the female, how do you then decide, okay, this is the pick of the litter, or this is the second pick, and then the rest will be like, okay, you can then take this or you can take that?
And we skip that question because we don't want to say our secret.
Okay.
I'm joking, but so when we do a puppy selection, the first thing I look at is obviously the confidence of the puppy. And number two is the puppy itself needs to speak to me. Understand? If a puppy doesn't speak to me, I'm going to look at the next puppy. You know what I mean? So I look at various things like top line, the structure of the puppy, the head size, the tail setting, the angulation, the front angulation, the underline of the puppy. So there's various things I look at. But for me, one thing that stands out is that this puppy needs to speak to you. Like, for example, Pioneer Manuka at the show, she's the current international junior champion of 2025. On 2 days old, I told my wife, I said, what's this puppy? This puppy is going to be something special one day. And I contacted Barry on 2 days old, contacted Barry. I said, I'd like you to come and make a turn, come and look at this puppy. This puppy will be the international champion. And blah, blah, blah. That's what I told him. So that's one thing that stands out for me. A puppy needs to speak to you. It needs to give you goosebumps. You understand? It should make you feel warm in your heart when you're busy holding the puppy. So even for Magic, he made me feel that way. There's many pictures that I've got on my old phone. Old pictures. I love taking pictures of my puppies because I believe that's the data I can take with me in the future. You understand?
Okay.
When I need to select out of another litter. So there's lots of puppies where I'm holding Magic like this, because I knew that this is the one, There's lots of pictures where I'm holding Pioneer Manuka like in a certain way or in a certain manner because I knew this is the one, So puppy needs to speak to you. If a puppy doesn't speak to you, I think you should just move on to selecting the next puppy, But besides that, it's also the structure, the confidence of the puppy. So those are the things that plays a very, very important role to me.
No, that's amazing. And Barry, just give us a few of your thoughts in terms of choosing the puppy.
They say sometimes that thought's actually a secret, eh? Okay. As Elton said, you go according to your gut. What you see in front of you is what you see in front of you. Take the blinkers off. Not just because it's your dog. You need to see the dog in front of you. And if we select a pup, you need to look at tail setting, ear setting, head circumference, the sock, the loin, the hind, the front, the croup, everything. You basically need to go through that pup. You need to break down that pup inch by inch. And if your pup doesn't have confidence, that's not the dog for you. If we select a pup to give to any family when they come and buy the pup, we ask them, are you guys active? Are you guys strong? Is there any kids? And that is all aspects of choosing a pup for anybody. For anybody. Like, if that pup, as Elton said, if that pup doesn't catch your eye, or if it doesn't give you any goosebumps, leave that pup. That pup is not for you. That pup needs to he needs to catch your attention. It needs to catch your attention. And if that pup is not for you, rather leave it. Don't go against your gut feeling. And there's many times that I basically selected pups or bought pups by other guys, or in my breeding programs of keeping my dogs and stuff like that. It is sometimes a very difficult choice. Because you get a pup, he goes to the age of 7, 8, 9, 10 months. That is the length stages. How many pups didn't I sell at the beginning?
Yeah.
Because now, this pup don't look nice. Look at this pup. Look, the pup's whole hindquarters is high. Give that pup a chance. Because what you see in a pup at 8 weeks old, that is what you're going to see when the dog is an adult.
Okay.
Exactly the same dog. So, as I also said previously, if you don't know what you are doing, rather leave it. Don't take a chance, because don't make it about the money. It was never about the money. And all dogs that we basically sell to homes, to kennels, as families, as protection and stuff like that, that money goes back into the program. It's not our money. It's not our money to spend, because at the end of the day, we got a day job. This is our hobby. This is our passion, and that is what you need to go through.
No, that's sound advice, man. So now tell me, guys, what line of Boerboels are you breeding, and what characteristics are you guys looking for, both physically and character-wise?
Yeah, so there's various lines that we work with, but the one that stands out for us is obviously the lateral lines, as Barry mentioned. Also, just to make a note, we recently acquired some semen from a dog named Delatro Uwe. Uwe is the son of Delatro Cardo, like a direct son, Delatro Uwe will be used onto one of our females soon. Obviously not Honey, because Honey is slightly bred on the lateral line, so it must probably be a daughter. Hopefully we use it on Pioneer Manuka, who is the international junior champion, because we have performed an outcross on her using Boerboels Bruce Almighty. So one thing we also noticed was the lines that we do work with is Boerboels lines, the lateral lines, and our dogs are bred from elevation lines, okay? But the lines that we focus on or that we cherish the most are the lateral lines, if I can put it that way. However, it does take careful consideration when working with those lines, but we believe it works best with the middle post and the lateral lines, recently we acquired some semen from the lateral Uwe. The lateral Uwe is a direct son of the lateral Cardo. So we will be using that not on honey because it's going to be a bit too close because honey is tightly bred on the lateral lines, you understand? So we're going to use it onto one of her daughters, that has already been outcrossed with the middle post lines. So that is one of the plans for the future. See, I'm letting out one of my secrets now, but nevertheless. But nevertheless, so that is the plan. But the things we look at, or the characteristics that we look at, is obviously for dogs to have a sound strike structure or clean strike structure, or dogs that requires zero stacking in the ring. You understand? We can just hold the leash and the dog would be in its most correct position as possible. You understand? That is where we are striving towards and working towards. The temperament is also number one on the list, at the top of our list. We believe in having dogs that has a stable temperament, that is able to socialize with our families at home, and that dog that is able to socialize with other dogs, you understand. I'm not sure if you saw at the show that our dogs can get along with anyone, I heard there was a few bad comments of Magic being aggressive, but let me tell you, he's one of the most gentle dogs ever, he gets along with any female, any male, even any human being as well. So that's Magic for you. That's the things we look at in terms of characteristics and that, but obviously what stands out for us most is to breed dogs that has clean structure, we don't always go for the biggest head, the thickest bone, and things like that. So to us it is that, you need to have a very, very clean structure in terms of top line, front angulation, rear angulation, tail setting, underline. We look at things like that. So that is one thing we are at least, trying to strive towards.
Barry, this one is for you, man. What advice would you give up and coming breeders that want to get into the game and want to achieve what you guys have achieved?
Okay. The most sound advice I can give to any up-and-coming breeder or handler or showman or whatever, get in contact with a mentor. Get in contact with a mentor that is willing to share his knowledge, but it also depends up to the person that gets a mentor. Will he basically stay with that mentor? Will he hold the mentor's hand? Will he take the advice? Will he take criticism? That is Elton. He basically takes criticism. If I tell him, I don't think this is right, he will go with it. But it also doesn't depend, or Elton mustn't sit with blinkers and say, no, Barry's the right guy. Barry's the main guy. Barry is the only guy. I am not the only guy. Because that is what I thought all the years as well. But this guy is the best mentor. That guy's it doesn't always happen that way. And it also depends entirely up to the connection. Like a certain stuff that I see in Elton, then I see myself in my younger years. And it's like, is this now my son or is it not my son?
Yeah, because I was going to say, because you guys look alike a lot, eh?
I think one day as she came to me, we had like a family gathering there at my place. And Elton came. And everybody just went quiet. And I thought to myself, what's happening here? Now they look at me, they look at Elton. They say, Elton is not my son, he's not my son.
Yeah, he looks like you, though.
But what can I say? Get a mentor. Learn. Don't stop learning. Don't stop asking questions. Don't stop asking for advice. Don't just do your own thing. If you want to go into something, the mentor, learn the breed, attend seminars, like breeding seminars, movement seminars, structural seminars, fertility seminars. That is how you're building up your knowledge. That's how you're building up knowledge. And even if Elton was now somebody different, and he now maybe bought at another kennel, if he had to phone me, I had to give him advice. And I always tell the guys, you know what? Advice is free. Buying a puppy, it depends entirely up to your salary. But advice is free.
That's true. That's true.
And that is the only advice I can give somebody. Don't be kennel blind. Don't be kennel blind, because, as I said, your dog in your yard is not always the best dog. And if you can't criticize your own dog or your own dog's shortcomings, then this game is not for you. Not for you at all.
That's some sound advice, Barry. Yeah, you're really in good hands, man. Eh? Yeah. So Elton,
100%.
I realize that you have a different showing style. I mean, you are a showman. So what is it that inspired you to show your dogs in that way?
What inspired me was, in the beginning when I attended shows, I'd see guys like Barry and Idris Mokodam from Renaissance Boerboels. They would stack dogs without a treat. You understand? Then I would also look at Wesley Lucas from Royal Crescent Boerboels. He would stack a dog with a treat. You understand? And I thought, hey, let me try this. So let me combine the two. You understand? So the dogs that I've got, I'm not sure if you were aware or saw at the show that I was able to stack them without a treat.
I saw that.
And I could stack them with a treat.
I saw that.
Because I believe a Boerboel goes through different structural challenges, you understand, like Barry mentioned, like at 8 or 9 months old, they would go through this lengthy stage, you understand, where the top line would maybe take a dip, and then you're on 15 months, the top line would be strong again, you understand? So that is my reason for teaching my dogs to do both, stacking with a treat and stacking without a treat, because I believe that you can only bring the best out of your dog with those two methods, you understand? So that is why people who say that I've got my own special, unique way, you understand? But there's also lots of training involved. I still believe up until today, the most difficult method is the one with a treat, It's not anyone that can master that. Like, for example, with Magic, I can leave the leash and I can just hold the treat or the mints that I use, hold it to my mouth, and it would stand still. You understand? So it's very, very difficult, and it's time consuming getting that out of your dogs. So and also if there's anyone that needs assistance when it comes to stacking your dog, I'm more than willing to assist. There's a few people that took my number and they asked for some guidance and that, and I politely gave my number because it's for everyone, and I believe it creates healthy competition in the show ring,
True.
That's what motivates me to go and show, if I know that this one is going to be there and that one is going to be there, because after a while it can become boring or bored, if I can put it that way.
But one thing I noticed about Magic, it's like when you stand still, he starts stacking himself. The tail stands up, he's like the chest, and I'm like, did this guy train this dog to do this, or is this dog born like this? Like,
yeah. So at the show when we got to Bloemfontein, it was on Wednesday. Yeah. Then I took Magic out of the trailer, and then friends of mine, and they were like, "Wow, look at Magic! About 4 weeks ago, he didn't look like this, So there's lots of training involved, getting him into condition. You understand? And then I just took the leash and I put him down, just like you just mentioned that he stacks himself.
Yes,
and
man.
they were like,
Wow.
It's like I performed on, like I mentioned on Facebook, it's like the gatois.
The gatois. I was going to ask you about the gatois. Oh, that's what the gatois is.
Yeah. So ka is when I grab the leash, and toa is when I just release the leash and
gatois.
Yeah, that's the meaning of gatois.
So how does it feel? Yeah.
Sorry, man. I just wanted to mention this. We were actually invited part of a movie shoot. Okay? I think that was about a month and a half ago before the Nationals.
A month ago, yeah.
A month ago. And they went, and their part was basically cancelled for that week. I actually took leave. I took Elton's dogs. I took my dogs as well. And I think 2 weeks or a week after that, they actually phoned again. No, we're ready to shoot, and I'm not going to mention the movie's name because I think that's a bit confidential. And I told this guy, the wrangler, the guy that deals with the animals and stuff, like I told him, you know what, there's one thing I'm going to tell you now. Elton will not release his dogs because his dogs is in the program now. And his dog's getting ready now for the International Boerboel show. And we had to cancel it all shoot just like it. But it was worth it. Most definitely was worth it.
100%.
And it also just to show you what dedication, what work,
And sacrifice
actually puts in. Yes, we brought a few rands in our pockets, but at the end of the day, for who was it? For us and not for the dogs.
No, that's some serious sacrifices there, man. But I'm pretty sure you get other movie roles. I mean, that dog is a star, man.
Most definitely.
Nah, thank you, my brother.
Yeah. So how does it feel having won the 2025 SABBS International Championship, not just regional, international?
International, yeah. Yeah, my brother. To be honest, I feel blessed. Like I told you after the show, I told you that I knew it was coming because I know God gave me a dream 4 weeks or 5 weeks before the show. He gave me a dream and he showed me in the dream that I'm winning the international show. And I looked at the stands in the dream. Half of the stands was cheering for me. The other half was throwing empty bottles of Coke. That was the dream, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, hey, I'm keeping this dream close to my heart. I'm not going to, I didn't even tell Barry. I'm not telling anyone about this dream because I didn't want to jinx it. You know what I mean? 2 weeks before the show, a friend of mine, Joshua, a good friend of mine from the Eastern Cape, he called me and he said, my brother. I said, yes, what's wrong? Hey, I had a dream. I said, what did you dream? But initially when he called me, I thought he was in trouble because I could hear that. He just woke up now, you understand? He said, I had a dream and in the dream, I could see that you are in the national international champion, or you won nationals, he told me. And I was like, hey, my brother, I also had that dream about 2 weeks before you. And I told him, listen, this is just confirmation, but please do me a favor, keep the dream to yourself. And I'll also do the same, you know. Like I said, I didn't want to jinx it. But initially I thought that it was going to be one of my females. But like I said, God had it planned out differently. And it really played out the way it had to, you know, for Magic to win the International Dog of the Year of 2025 in Bloemfontein. But to be honest, my brother, I feel blessed. I feel highly favored. I feel great. I feel awesome. I've been celebrating all week. I'm not getting enough sleep because I'm stuck on the celebration. Yeah. The celebrations are still ongoing, you know. I only stop celebrating on Saturday. But I feel really blessed, really grateful and thankful for the judges seeing the potential in my dog, and also to SABBS, you know, for hosting such a big event, you know, in the manner that they have, you know. The work that they put in does not go unnoticed, and from myself and behalf of the Western Cape, we are really grateful to SABBS.
And Barry, what does it mean for your kennel to have such great accolades, man?
I think it's the best feeling in the world. Seriously, the best feeling in the world. This would have been possible without the Almighty on our side, believing Elton's hard work, his dedication, his passion that he has, his drive that he has, because I think he's on drugs or something. But he has a high drive. I think his drive is exactly the same as the dog's. Something that I just want to say, there was such a lot of negativity spoken about me and Elton and stuff like that. And it is sad, because we would never down anybody else. If you're happy, you're happy. But don't be happy in a bad way. If you lose, you lose. If you win, you win. It's put out for you that way. Maybe today is not your day, but tomorrow will be your day. It's not always that the sun will shine on us. Because the sun might just shine on you tomorrow. So, if only everybody can stand together and not grow apart in like being an enemy because you now got the best dog, you got the best kennel. Elton is now by my side and this and that. Leave that alone. Because you have a lot of enemies and I've got a lot of friends. Friends is not always your friends. how can I say it? Just be humble. Just be humble. That's all. Things will come your way soon. Seriously, can't wait. The feeling of Pioneer Boerboels actually holding that title again. I don't take the accolades. Elton is the one that needs to take the accolades. Even at the show as well, they came to me, they came to congratulate me, hug me and stuff like that. I said, no, not me. There's Elton. Elton is standing there. And you need to be happy for the next person. You need to be, yes, Pioneer Boerboels, the name Pioneer Boerboels is just a name. Somebody made it happen, and that's Elton.
Now, Elton,
But it's the best feeling in the world. Best feeling in the world.
Cool, man. Elton, before we leave you, man, we just want to hear that chant of yours one last time, man. No, one last time for this month.
Should I really do it? Some people didn't like it. Some liked it.
Yeah, you know, when I was videographing in the ring, right? And you did it the first time, man, I felt chills down my spine. I was like, oh.
So yeah, when I'm busy working with my dogs, that's the sound I make, you know. So they know when I make that sound, I need them to show themselves. You understand? So that's when I make the sound.
Yeah, man.
So yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
the sound I make, and they love it.
Thank you so much for the interview, guys. I really appreciated it. I'm looking forward to having more. Hopefully, I'll fly down to the Western Cape and actually see you guys in action that side.
Yeah, no problem.
You're most welcome.
More than welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Barry, for your time, and Elton. Enjoy your day, gentlemen.
Thank you,
Can I show you the accolades, if that's okay?
Yes, please. Yo, you have enough dog food for the whole year, mister.
Sponsored by Lionel Trace.
Yeah. And who's that on the wall there?
This is Magic.
Mm-hmm.
I had this canvas made yesterday.
Yo, Magic looks amazing, man, eh?
And this is his mother.
The one that was at the show?
Yes, he was 9 months old in this picture.
Okay.
And Magic was also the junior champion 2024 at 9 months old.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that's it.
No, thank you so much, gent.
Okay.
Thank you so
Keep
much.
well.
Cool, man.
Yes, sir.
See you. Bye.
Cheers,
See you.
Vince.
Bye. Bye.